Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The UEFA Champions League round of 16 draw has officially been completed, and it was a very interesting one. Obviously, some clubs will be happier than others, but in particular, Benfica will be even more happy about grabbing first place in their group over PSG. It was already a triumphant victory back then to beat Maccabi Haifa 6-1, getting 1 point on goal differentials more than PSG to top them on the last match day. Well, now it's an even more glorified win after this draw because they're playing Club Brugge while PSG is playing Bayern Munich. That's probably my favorite matchup as a neutral. PSG versus Bayern Munich is going to be incredible. Real Madrid versus Liverpool as well, the revival of the final. Tottenham versus Milan is an absolute toss-up. There's just so many matches that are going to be very interesting. Some definitely more predictable than others. But today, I'm going to be sharing with you my very early predictions. Right now, it's only early November. We still got the entire World Cup to worry about, and then the Champions League will be resuming in February. So I'll definitely be doing a final prediction when the date gets closer, but these are just my earliest thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below, and let's try to get this video to 3,000 likes. Now, I usually share my scorelines for these knockout prediction videos, but this time around, I'm just going to be sharing which team I think will advance, and in the final prediction video, I'll share with you my scoreline. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with Manchester City versus RB Leipzig. Very good matchup. We already saw these teams having to face each other in the last UCL campaign. In the group stage, that is. Two very thrilling results in those, actually. One of the matches finishing 6-3 for Manchester City, and the other one, RB Leipzig beating them 2-1. City are massive favorites, obviously, with their fantastic form, with their fantastic upgrades, actually. Erling Haaland has been phenomenal this season. Although they look like the favorites, we definitely shouldn't rule out RB Leipzig. They had a shaky start to this Champions League run, been a bit back and forth with their form this season, but they just beat Champions League winners Real Madrid in the group stage 3-2. And on the final match, they beat Shakhtar 4-0. Got their revenge after losing to them 4-1 earlier. Despite having a few slips, obviously, they only finished 1 point behind Real Madrid in their group. Manchester City, like I said, have been in great form this season, but they have been cutting some of their recent matches close. This side is always such a huge favorite for many in the UCL, for obvious reasons, but they still always seem to slip. Will it happen in the round of 16s this year? I don't think so. I think City will definitely do better than that. I'm sorry, RB Leipzig, fantastic side. They definitely can prove their worth here, but I think Manchester City definitely have the advantage here, and I'm going to say they make it to the quarterfinals. It's football, though. Anything's possible. I just don't see this being the upset of the round of 16s. Now for Benfica versus Club Brugge. Like I mentioned earlier, massive props to Benfica for proving so many people wrong. This is probably the most informed team in Europe at the moment. Obviously, there's still 3 months to go until this stage, but they are looking phenomenal. Undefeated in the Champions League. Undefeated in the Portuguese League. This side held off to PSG for draws twice and beat Juventus twice. Club Brugge, on the other end, have had such a great start in the Champions League. Kind of slipped at the end, sure, but there's no ignoring how phenomenal they were early on. They nearly held on to that first place position, but Porto snagged it from them at the end, where they absolutely looked revived after beating them 4-0 on the 5th match day, and then beating Atletico Madrid on the last match day, which switched their places around. However, Club Brugge earlier on beat Porto 4-0. So clearly, they do have what it takes to beat Portuguese sides. I told you all earlier to not sleep on Club Brugge, but unfortunately, I think they got really unlucky in this draw. They definitely should still believe in themselves, as they have been proving so many people wrong. Their attack has really been doing bits this season, but I don't think it's going to be enough against Benfica. Maybe it can be a thrilling scoreline, but I definitely think Benfica have what it takes to make it to the quarterfinals. To be honest, I would have more faith in Club Brugge pulling through in a matchup like this in the round of 16s if it were against another seeded team, but not Benfica this time around. I could be overhyping them, I could be jinxing them, but I truly believe in them, and I really do hope the best for both of these sides. It's a shame that they have to play each other this early on. I would be so happy to see either of them have a deep run. They've both been very exciting sides in this Champions League, so it's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. And I'm going to say Benfica. Now for Liverpool versus Real Madrid. The repeat to the final. Will Liverpool be able to get their revenge? This matchup may look predictable on the surface since Liverpool have not been in the best form. But at the same time, they have been one of the most unpredictable teams this season. They won't look up to par against Nottingham Forest or Leeds United. But then they'll be the ones to end Manchester City and Napoli's unbeaten streaks. Real Madrid are on a solid path right now, although they have had some few slips in La Liga and in the Champions League, but they still top their Champions League group. They're still in contention to win La Liga. You could be making arguments that Salah's going to be desperate to get revenge against this club, but that's what we said in the final as well, and Courtois absolutely denied him. I want to see Liverpool pull through, but I just cannot deny Real Madrid's success. They had such a difficult road to the final last time. They still won the whole thing. I think Real Madrid will do it against Liverpool once again. I really wouldn't be surprised if I'm wrong, and I could change my mind on this, but right now it's just too hard to deny Los Blancos. Now for Tottenham versus AC Milan. Oh, this is such a great matchup. You can make so many arguments about both of these sides as to why you think they'll advance to the next round. Although Tottenham topped their Champions League group, it wasn't the most convincing display throughout. They cut too many matches close. Tottenham obviously isn't the same club as Chelsea. However, Chelsea were just in a group with AC Milan, and they absolutely dominated them in both matches. So maybe Milan could struggle once again to a Premier League club. However, at the moment, AC Milan are looking a bit more consistent than Tottenham, and in some of their matches, they absolutely cruise through teams. Their last two Champions League results, although they look like favorites on paper, they won both matches 4-0. And some of these attackers can definitely hit Tottenham's weak points in the defense. Now, at the moment, this one is truly a flip of a coin. And I'm not saying this because I'm wearing a Tottenham shirt, but I do think Tottenham will go through. We've even seen it in previous years. Some rounds in the Champions League, when they participate, obviously, they do have luck on their side. They're one of the teams to upset Manchester City a while back. AC Milan wants to have that Champions League legacy like they once had years back, and they definitely should believe in themselves. But out of this 50-50 guess, I'm going with Tottenham for now. I'll try to formulate a more educated opinion in January, February, when I release the final prediction video. Now for Frankfurt versus Napoli. Both these sides have incredible fan bases where they can definitely take advantage on their home soil. Napoli's only loss this season so far was to Liverpool, one of the most surprising sides this season, as many people doubted them from their transfer window, which ended up being great for them. Kvicha has been balling out. Kim Min-jae has been fantastic in the back to replace Koulibaly, but at the same time, man, I'm scared to doubt Frankfurt here. They proved everybody wrong in the Europa League last season. Everybody had a feeling Barcelona were the juggernaut in that tournament. Easy Europa League campaign, but no. Frankfurt were the ones to deny them and win the trophy themselves. They're obviously missing a few key players from that season, but they have seemed to kind of overcome that and kind of organize themselves. They really have been making a revival in this Champions League as well. Rocky start, obviously, but they made it to the next round. Again, this is a matchup where I would love to see either of these teams go through. Both really exciting squads at the moment. Frankfurt with so many underrated players. Not an easy one to predict at all, but on paper, there is a clear favorite here. And I'm sorry, I'm going to go with Napoli. With the form they're in at the moment, many people are expecting them to have a deep run in the Champions League, and I really won't be surprised if they do. Now for Borussia Dortmund versus Chelsea. When you look at it from far out, yeah, Chelsea looked like the favorites. But at the same time, they haven't been all that convincing. Meanwhile, Dortmund also not necessarily super consistent, but they have had some fantastic displays. When they faced Manchester City, they lost the first match 2-1, and they drew the second one 0-0. They scored a last-minute goal against Bayern Munich to equalize with them 2-2. So even in the matchups where they don't look like the favorites, they're not going down and out. Earlier this season, they seemed to look a bit all over the place in the defense, but now it seems to be a lot more organized. Chelsea at the moment definitely have what it takes to pick themselves back up for that top 4 spot, but at the moment they sit at 7th place in the Premier League. Now Chelsea obviously look like the favorites here, but I don't think Dortmund fans should be upset about this draw. Most people are probably predicting Chelsea, but this is going to be my quote-unquote upset of the round of 16s. I'm going to say Borussia Dortmund make it to the quarterfinals. Potter has obviously been a bit unlucky with injuries. We could see a fully fit squad at this point, but I do think that those stick-out players on Dortmund like Schlotterbeck and Bellingham can make the difference here. Now for Inter Milan versus Porto. What a lovely matchup. Inter Milan look like favorites on paper, but they haven't been in the best form, and Porto have seemed, like I said, to have a revival in form. Inter are obviously going to be proud of themselves for beating Barcelona head-to-head, where they finished over them in the UCL group stages, but they're in 7th in the Serie A right now. The season where Inter won the Scudetto, they got knocked out of the UCL very early on, which is why they were able to focus on that. And this time I feel like it could be the other way around. Even if they're still in shaky form in the Serie A, I feel like they're going to put more emphasis in the UCL campaign. Many of the players have been stepping up big for them. Dzeko, despite his age, is still absolutely balling out. Nicolo Barella was looking very impressive against Barcelona. If we're going to base it off form, Porto seems like they could make it through, but this is still in a lot of time. And like I said, I think Inter will put a lot of emphasis in this UCL campaign. I'm going to say they make it through to the quarterfinals. Porto have every reason to be confident, though. Very solid squad with the likes of Taremi, who's been doing very well. Estacio as well. And Costa looked amazing at the end of the UCL campaign in the group stage. Plus so many more. It's hard to write off the side that got the final laugh on Atletico Madrid, throwing them out of European tournaments, but it's got to be narrowly Inter for me. And finally, the last matchup we're looking at, PSG versus Bayern Munich. Probably the toughest one to call. These are two favorites for so many people to win the Champions League. You got PSG's front three that have been looking phenomenal. Really, Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi have all been living up to their name, getting outrageous stats. But come on, Bayern Munich is Bayern Munich. They were in a very, very tough group in the Champions League, yet they still got 6 for 6 wins. This side always seems criminal to write off in any UCL matchup. Of course, they've had their slips, and it could easily happen again. This is also a repeat from a final in history. The last time Bayern Munich won the Champions League was against PSG in the final. People may be arguing that Bayern Munich won't be as lethal up top without Robert Lewandowski, but I think the likes of Sadio Mane, Gnabry, and even Choupo-Moting can definitely do the job here. Choupo-Moting has been in some pretty impressive form so far, and he obviously has some familiarity with PSG. I'm sorry guys, but it's just hard to be logical for this matchup as well. It's really a flip of a coin. I even asked you guys on my stream, I put up a poll, and it was very 50-50 there as well. Who knows, we could see the Lith have another round of 16 disaster class. Or we really could see how impactful that final match day was for Benfica to beat Maccabi Haifa 6-1. And for PSG to be in this position. I'm going to say that Bayern Munich are able to make it to the quarterfinals. I'm not too confident about that though, and I might change it as well. Those are my predictions, guys. Let me know yours in the comments below. A bit of a quick prediction video, but in the final one, I will be going more in depth. Maybe I'll bring on guests as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for that and for loads of World Cup content. That's going to obviously be the main focus on this channel until the tournament ends. And I plan to upload a lot of lengthy videos this week. So sorry this one was shorter than normal, but so much will change from this month to February, so I will save my in-depth talks for the World Cup only for now. Thank you all for making it to the end. I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. La con noche.